Welcome everybody to the Red G Fox channel. Thank you for joining us. We're in Grady month, right? As Fred Sanford is in St. Louis, and we are covering some of the most popular episodes. And I'm pretty shocked at this IMDb score for this episode. As we just did Lamont Goes Karate, today we are doing Will the Real Fred Sanford Please Do Something? In this one, Fred is gone, Grady is at home, some lady comes up and thinks he's Fred Sanford. Grady doesn't know how to handle it. It has some very funny scenes and a very memorable character who even made our top 20 one and done appearance in show history. And that is Betty Hairston. Yet Betty is ready for Freddy. So stay tuned. Let's get into it right away. The rating, this is season 3, episode 20. Do you know what the IMDb is for this? Surprisingly, 6.8. There is a handful of the show Sanford that are way higher than this. I am shocked. Comment below if you think this is higher than a 6.8. Now, it's not 8.0, not even close. Because when you go through it, it's a good episode. I can see why people don't love it, right? Because Betty Hairston's funny. It has some very comical moments. But it feels like a sandwich with no dressing. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's got the meat, it's got the bread, but it's missing something. But I would probably say around 7.2, 7.3 even. It can't be under 7. It's just, Betty Hairston and Grady are so funny together, I just can't see it being that. So let's get to it. We'll get, you know what, we're going to basically do it where the summary is the main thing and we'll have a whole bunch of clips. So before we do that, let's start with the fun facts.
I didn't know that.
All right, today we have some pretty good fun facts. The first one is the closing credits, and I've never paid attention to this. I'm going to be honest, this is the first time I ever caught this, and it's only because we're doing this episode, and I looked it up. But in the closing credits, it has a character named Rose, and it is played by none other than Talia Farrow. And she's did a handful of things. We will actually cover her in our familiar faces, even though we don't even see her in the episode. But she's in it. My guess is that she was the lady who was supposed to come over when Lamont has a date, and he's got his ascot, and Grady says, get out of here. You ain't having no party. You ain't having no women. And Grady and Lamont had to take off. So we never got to see her. But that was her. That was the character she was supposed to play. That's my guess. Because at no other time do we need to meet another woman who would come into the play. Very interesting fact. I did not know that or ever catch it. Comment below if you ever noticed that before. Our next one. This is just something that was pretty funny. Fred Sanford's name is mentioned 29 times. I gotta say, I haven't checked every episode ever. That's got to be the most time Fred Sanford's name's ever been mentioned in an episode, and he's not even in it. Any other time, you would never say Fred Sanford. Fred Sanford. It's mentioned so much because Betty, Smitty, Hoppy, Lamont, Grady, all of them keep saying, I'm not Fred Sanford. He's not Fred Sanford. Fred Sanford's not here. Fred Sanford. It's so funny, but it's mentioned 29 times. So that is a very cool fact that I never stopped to think about until we went through this episode. And ironically, like we said, his name is said more in this episode, and he's not even in it. Great fun fact. That would be a great trivia question, maybe for our channel. For anybody who's watching, I promise you'll get it right. But that will be one coming up soon. Because you know our trivia questions love to have to do with the episode we're watching during that week. And our final one, Betty, after Fred proposes to her, she, from what we know, right, only in show history and what we've heard, is the 4th woman that Fred has proposed to. We got Betty, we know Donna, we know he had to ask Elizabeth to marry him, and we had, I believe her name was Judy Edwards in the episode where, remember, Fred wants to marry Judy Edwards, and then she was supposed to be with Lamont, and that was a very bizarre episode, and the whole situation that worked out. So Fred actually has proposed to 4 different women. He's got me beat. I just did one. So that's it for fun facts. Let's get to familiar faces.
Wait a minute. May I ask you a personal question? Who are you?
All right, familiar faces. Now, we'll get to Betty Hairston, the actress who played her. We already covered her on the one where Lamont, right, where he had to go get the advice about his astrology. She was in that one. We usually don't like to do the same character again, but because we only got a little bit of time, we'll try to squeeze in a few things about her. But our main one is Talia Farrow, and that is the lady who she played Rose. We never even got to see her. She is still alive today. She just turned 84 in this month of August. So that's pretty cool. She appeared in 12 movies and shows, so she did not have a gigantic career when it came to entertainment. But I believe, I looked it up, and I thought she was also a singer, so that could be part of it. She was in 1993, Dream Lover. She did Sabine, and she did the movie Shaft. So that is it on her. Comment below if you've ever heard of her or seen her in any other movies or shows. Nothing that I can remember seeing offhand. And our next one and last one is Vivian Bonnell. She played, of course, Betty Hairston. She passed away in 2003 at the age of 79. She had went on to do over 50 movies and shows, including one of my favorite, Ghost, with Whoopi Goldberg. And again in Sanford and Son, she was the astrologist, like we said, where Lamont has to find out he's a natural warrior, and Fred thinks he's going to die, and Gorilla Cookies, right? That's the whole reason for that episode. And she also, the last thing she started I can find was Moesha in 1996. So that's it for Familiar Faces. Let's get to the summary.
You said Freddy's ready for Betty.
All right, the summary, simple. Fred is still gone in St. Louis. Grady's running the house. Lamont comes down and he's got a big plan of the day, but Grady thinks he's just going to hang out, and he's got something interesting on. Let's check this out.
It's an ascot. See, over in England, this is what all the rich dudes wear at the racetrack. An ascot.
Oh, then that's why you look like a horse's ascot.
Always kills me when he says that. Ooh, look at you and you look like a horse's. Anyways, so Lamont's getting clowned by Grady, and he's not going to have none of this. He's like, no. This is still my house. And remember, Grady's like, is that what we're going to do? Hang around here, have some rosé wine? And Lamont's like, no, I'm going to hang out here. It's my house. I got a lady coming over. Grady says, no something.
That I was to enforce his #1 rule. No orgies.
You mean orgy, don't you, Grady?
Yeah, none of that either.
With Grady, he can't even get the simple words right. Lamont's furious, as we all should. This is one, once again, where I feel bad Lamont. Either Grady or Fred, screw him. It's his house. He should have the right. He doesn't get it, so he's upset. He takes off to go change because he's got to get out of here. We're never going to get to meet Rose. But on top of that, Grady says, hey, your pop lets me in charge. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. Keep that in mind. Put a pin in that. Remember that. Now there's a knock at the door, and a strange woman comes, and she just starts coming all over Grady, and he doesn't even know who the heck she is and what to do.
Yeah, a shot of bourbon and a glass of beer. We had about 14 of them, and we never once stirred from that booth.
Oh, if I had 14 beers, I would have stirred at least once.
He's like, 14 Boilermakers, I definitely would have stirred. So now think of Grady. He's running around. I would be the same way. He's like trying to remember, who is this? Who is this? And it doesn't dawn on him. Then she starts saying about the business, and that's when it hits Grady who she thinks he is.
You remember, oh, you dog.
I should have known right from the start. You think I'm Fred Sanford?
Yeah, so now he knows he's not Fred Sanford. He can say it 100 times. As we heard, it's mentioned 29 times in the episode. She's not buying it. Lamont comes down, and now Grady's like, thank you, Jesus. Lamont, you are here. You can straighten this out. Will you tell this woman who I am?
For Pete's sakes, will you please tell her who I am? Sure, that's easy. He's the boss, Fred Sanford. I'll see you later, Pop.
The way he says it, I love the way Lamont's like, oh yeah, he's the boss. He reminds me of like Eddie Haskell, the way he's presenting it. But Grady deserves every bit of that. Lamont finds out the next morning that Grady he said, hey, there's 2 ways your pop gets out of it. Let's check that real quick.
Anyway.
Well, when your father gets in trouble, he either has arthritis or a heart attack. And I had them both.
So he had both, heart attack and arthritis. But Lamont's gone for work. Betty's back. To his surprise, you almost want to lock the door, but he couldn't. And then he finds out that she is there, but she's not just there to visit. She has different intentions in it.
Here I am, Fred, ready to move in.
So he's like, no. He should have whipped out a nope. He didn't do that. Shout out to Clyde, who always loves to drop that on our channel. Thank you, Clyde. It's one of the funniest whenever I read you say that. I always read it in Grady's voice. But as he's doing that, and you know what? Since we're on that, power to the Foxes.
Power to the Foxes.
Yes, thank you for Mike Lutton, and thank you so much for Jim Offit for being members. The other ones are listed at the bottom. Anytime, you will get a shout out every episode when we do our weekly thing. We got other perks. We got other things we even mentioned earlier. Members only videos. A new one coming out this week as well. So back to the episode. Yeah, as he's doing that, I just reminded that because I was talking about Clyde, who is a longtime subscriber and friend to our channel and community. So Grady doesn't know what to do. You know, how do you handle the situation? Grady's like, that's it. I can tell her till her face is blue. She's not going to get it. Then it's almost like a light bulb. He realizes, hey, you know what? Maybe if you were back the way you were that night, you might try to remember that maybe I'm not Fred Sanford. So he's got a great idea. Let's check it out.
To Sanford and Son.
To Sanford and Son, yeah.
Yes, I love it so much that he actually outsmarts her and it actually works. But now Lamont comes home to this, and now she's got a different issue. Grady, she figures it out. You're not Fred Sanford. You are.
That's Fred Sanford.
That's right.
You know, it's funny when Grady's like, yeah, that's it. He's Fred Sanford. Grady now is saying, let's give... I still believe Lamont got screwed on all this, but that's it. Now she thinks Lamont's Fred Sanford, and Grady and her, they were able to trick her and get her out of there, and Grady's like, man, I'm about to call the police. Well, surprise, someone's at the door. Yes, it's Betty Hairston. She's got the cops, Smitty and Hoppy. Who else would we want? You don't need some strangers who don't know Fred and Lamont. Thank God, because they happen to know. They back him up and say, Grady ain't Fred Sanford. Lamont's not Fred Sanford. Smitty even says, I know. And then she comes up, as you see right here, and says, well, you're Fred Sanford. And he's like, no, ma'am. I'm not Fred Sanford. He calms it down. But there's one last person in this, and it ain't Rose, and it's nobody else there. There's one person. Who could this possibly be? Betty Hairston thinks she knows.
You're Fred Sanford.
Oh, no, madam. I couldn't be Fred Sanford. She thinks I'm of the Caucasian persuasion.
That's always one of the best. It's always one of my favorite lines when he's the Caucasian persuasion. And she kind of hits it, but she still doesn't understand completely, so she's got to turn around, look at Smitty, and Smitty does what he does best, and it's one of my favorite moments. Let's check it out.
He's a white dude.
He always makes it so simple, and I love when he says that. He's a white dude, you know, so that's it. She realizes they have to pull her out of there. Grady's done. Lamont's done. Lamont's like, man, I'm going to have a talk with my pop when he gets back. Grady's like, you know what, man? I need something. Lamont doesn't know there's actual alcohol in there. He thinks it's gasoline. So, wild ending. Great episode. That's it for the summary. You know, we tried to get it done as quick as we possibly could and still include a lot of funny moments. But, like I said, I got to give this over a 7. It's just got too much funny scenes between Grady, Betty Hairston, and then the little whole chaotic part with Smitty, Hoppy, and Lamont as well. So let's get to our top 3 funny. All right, coming in at number 3, we just saw it when Lamont comes home, and then she sees him, and then she thinks he's Fred Sanford.
That's Fred Sanford.
Yeah, number 2. This was good too when she's drinking with Grady. He's doing everything he can to try to get her remember, and he does start drinking so fast, but he's toasting everything. Let's check out some of the people he's toasting to. Very funny.
Hold a minute, Ehrlichman.
To Haldeman and Ehrlichman.
And number 1, comment below if you don't think this is number 1 in this episode. I always appreciate your top 3 or your favorite moment. This is my favorite moment, and we just saw it and we just talked about it's hysterical. Hoppy talking about, hey, I ain't Fred Sanford.
Oh, no, madam. I couldn't be Fred Sanford. She thinks I'm of the Caucasian persuasion.
Great ending. Like I said, good episode. Enjoyed it. Comment below, what are your thoughts on the episode in general? Would you give it a 6.8? Would you say, hey, I don't think it's good, better than a 7? You know, we've talked about anything 7.5 and beyond is really good, and then you get 7.8. It's like excellent, elite. This is not either of those, but I think it is a good episode. That's why I would at least get it over 7.0. Please leave your thoughts. If you have anything you enjoy about Sanford & Son and you have not, subscribe to our channel. Click the like if you enjoyed this video. Nothing but Sanford & Son here. Polls, trivia. You can become a member and get all sorts of cool perks. We still also have giveaways. That we still have a gift card we have to give away from Amazon. I had to wait a little bit of time to get more views on a video. It's not happening. So if you meet the criteria, and that one of them is being a membership, you're automatically entered in every contest. You can get that as well. Have a great week. If you have not, go check out our newest video. I really had fun making that one. I thought that one was cool. And that is fun facts. You can see right here about Sanford & Son. You might not know. Most of the people in our community know this because we go over this all the time. But if you're new to our channel, definitely go give it a watch. You're going to learn some cool, interesting facts. And give that one a like as well. Have a great week, guys. Be safe. Stay cool. And football's here. Just about. Peace.